Hello Divination and welcome. In today's tutorial, I'll be using sideways and vertical text to create a unique landing page with Divi. So this is the final result we're aiming to achieve. So without wasting a lot of time, let's dive in and let's get started. Okay, so right now I'm logged into my WordPress admin dashboard. So we're going to start off by creating a brand new page. Now, if you want to follow along and use all the settings that we're going to use in this tutorial, I will leave a link in the comments box below to our blog post, which will have all the settings, all the image sizes, and the CSS code. Okay, so now I'm going to come to pages, click on add new. We're going to call this page side like that. Click on use the Divi builder, and then we're going to go straight to the visual builder. Our next step is to add our brand new section. So I'm going to click this plus button here to add our section. But this time, normally we add a regular section, but we're going to use a speciality section. So I'm going to click here, and then I'm going to scroll down until I have access to select this one right here at the bottom. So we're going to select it, and then I'm just going to close it. Right. So the next thing we're going to do is to go into the wireframe mode, because right now it's difficult to see where things are. So I'm going to click here on expand settings, click on the wireframe view, and then over here we're going to start by adding all our modules. So I'm going to click this plus button here. So on the right here we're going to start off by adding our image module. So I'm going to select it and just save it. Right now I'm just adding all the modules. I am not adding any content in these modules. So over here we need to start off by adding all our rows and columns. So I'm going to click this plus button here and choose these two columns. And here we need to add text modules. So I'm going to select it, save it, and then we need to clone this a few times and then drag these into position. Okay, so we need 4 over here and 1 over here on the left. Okay, so that's looking great. The next stage now is to add our custom CSS. So our custom CSS can go into 2 places. We can either add it onto this particular page, or we can add it onto our theme options. So in this case, I'm going to add my CSS code in the theme options. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm just going to publish this page, and then I'm going to open the dashboard in a new tab. Okay, so over here, I'm going to come to appearance, and then I'm going to click on themes, and then I'm going to click on customize. So this brings us to the theme customizer. So where we need to add our code is right here on additional CSS. So I'm going to click here and paste my CSS code like that. Okay, great. So now that our CSS code is in here, that's all we need to do. We can go ahead now and publish. Now, but before I publish, if you want to know what the CSS code is doing, it's well commented so you can read, and this should give you an idea of what each line of CSS code is doing. And also, if you'd like to use this CSS code, I'll link to the post in the show notes below. So now I'm going to click on publish. Right, so the next stage now is to add our image. So I'm going to come over here to my section settings, click on background, and then I'm going to click this third tab and then click the plus button. So this is the image that we're going to use. I'm going to click on upload an image. So that's our background image. Great. So now I can go ahead and save. Right, so the next step now is to add our sideways text. So I'm going to go back into my wireframe view over here, and then I'm just going to label this sideways so I know exactly what I'm doing. Great. So next I'm going to click in onto this gear icon to enter the text settings. I'm going to paste my text in here, and this is just some dummy text, but in your case you can use any text that you want. So over here I'm going to go to the design tab and add more settings. So we're going to start off by adding some padding. So I'm going to come to spacing. So padding top we're going to add 45%, and padding left we're going to add 15%. Now it's time to go into the advanced tab and add our CSS classes. So I'm going to come to CSS ID and classes, and then on the CSS class we're going to add sideways text like that, and make sure there is no dot before the sideways text. Okay, so now that we have our text, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a quick preview by going into the desktop view like that. So we can see here that our text has rotated, which is great. All I have to do now is to change the color, because we can't really see this in this background. So I'm going to click on design, text, and then I'm going to change this color from dark to light, just like that. And we may want to make this slightly bigger as well, and add a bit of line height. Okay, great. Right, so I'm going to go ahead now and save. go back into our wireframe view, and this time we're going to work on the upright text. So I'm going to come over here and just rename this to upright. And then I'm going to click on this gear icon to go into my text settings. Next, I'm going to add my text like that. So you can actually set this to a heading 2. So to do that, I'm just going to highlight the text, click here on this drop down and set this to heading 2. Again, we're going to do a quick preview and see how this looks like. And over here, we can see our text is in place. We're going to come again into design, heading text, and we're going to change our color. In fact, we can change it over here on text. So from dark to light, okay? And then all we need to do now is to increase the size of that text. So to do that, we need to go into our heading text and we set this at heading 2. So I'm just going to increase that and add a bit of line height. Okay, so that's looking great. Let's move on to the next one. So this time we need to add the months, dates, and times. So I'm going to save this. Okay, so let's go back into our wireframe view, and this is our vertical text. So I'm just going to name this vertical like that, into the text settings, and then I'm going to paste my text in here. Now for this to work, we need to add some CSS code. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to advanced, click on CSS ID and classes, and then paste my class in here. So this CSS class here will allow our text to look vertical. In fact, let's do a quick preview so you can see what it looks like so far. So I'm going to click here on my desktop view, and we can see here that that has worked. So depending on your background, you can also use vertical white because that's in our CSS code. So this text will be turned to white, but this seems to work with our design. So let's move on to the next one. So I'm going to save this for now. Go back into our wireframe mode. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to clone this because the text we're going to use is going to be similar. So I'm going to go into my module settings, and then I'm going to replace this text with the dates. And then I'm going to come over here to advanced, CSS ID and classes. And then here I'm going to change this from yellow to white like that. So now with my quick preview, we can see now our text has turned into white, which is great. And then I also need to clone this one more time. So I'm going to do that. So this time I'm going to be adding the time. So I'm going to save this, come back into my settings, paste my time in here, click on advanced, CSS ID and classes. And this time I want this to be yellow. So I'm just going to type in yellow in here like that. We can do a quick preview and see how that looks so far. And fantastic. So now we can see that this is working great. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save. And then next we need to add our image. So let me go ahead now and save. And then I am going to go back into my wireframe mode. And then over here, I'm going to add my image. So I'm going to click this gear icon to enter my image settings. Click on upload. And this is the image that we're going to use. Click on upload an image. Okay, so now that our image is in place, let's do our final preview. So I'm going to come over here to desktop view, click on save, and then we're going to exit the visual builder so we can have a good look at this. So I'm going to click on exit visual builder. Okay, so this is our final design. I think it's really cool. Tell us what you think about this design by leaving your comments in the comments box below. So there you have it. Thank you all for watching. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and do follow us on our social media platforms. By doing so, you'll be notified every time we release new tutorials. Until next time, thanks for watching and see you soon.